Diamondbacks pitching gets absolutely cooked in the series finale by the Twins. We have more on a disastrous day on the mound for the Diamondbacks right here. Let's go. Welcome into another terribly terrible edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast. My name is Derek Monty, and hopefully I can help make today better. I am occasionally known as your mayor, PHNX. I'm joined by Damon Dog on the ones and twos, and of course, Jesse Friedman will be joining us from Chase Field here shortly. And of course, when I say a terrible, edition, it's not my performance that was terrible today. It was the Diamondbacks pitching performance that was terrible. The D-backs lose 13-6 in the series finale to the Minnesota Twins. And this was just an awful loss because you could pretty much pin a lot of this on the pitching today. Of course, you can also pin it on the fact that once the Diamondbacks were down 2-0, it really didn't matter, right? Because the Diamondbacks are now 1-37 this season when trailing by 2 runs or more at any point in the game. That's right. They only have one comeback victory still when trailing by 2 runs or more. And to be fair, if the Diamondbacks could have limited the damage to a really bad second inning by Jordan Montgomery and the Diamondbacks defense, they might have been able to make this game a little bit more of a game. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case because not only did Jordan Montgomery give up a whole bunch of runs, but so did the bullpen. I mean, defensively when the Twins were up to bat, the Diamondbacks were just bad today. They really shit the bed when it came to defense. I mean that both on the mound and I mean that in the field. Of course, Jordan Montgomery, not very good today. And this is another really bad outing that once again makes this signing by the D-backs look really bad. Of course, he only went 2 2/3 innings today. He gave up 9 hits, allowed 8 runs, but only 4 of which were earned. And they have allowed 1 walk, struck out 1. Jordan Montgomery today, he just got himself into a jam early. He had a no outs, bases loaded jam in the second inning. Didn't get much help at all from his defense. If you go back and watch this game, there are so many instances where the damage that the Twins did to the D-backs could have been limited versus what ends up actually happening. And a lot of it was on the defense. A lot of it you could blame today also on Kevin Newman at third base, who was not very good. Do you miss Gino yet? Do you miss him? Because Gino's one of those guys that makes playing third base just look very easy. And Kevin Newman was just terrible over there. He had a throwing error today that allowed 2 runs to score. He also missed an attempt a little bit earlier at a play that Geraldo Perdomo had to try to make and wasn't able to get an out with. But there were a lot of defensive gaffes like that today that really just allowed the innings to continue, allowed the Twins to continue to put up runs and take advantage of the Diamondbacks playing probably some of the worst defense we've seen over this month of June and maybe dating back to earlier in the season when we saw Blaze Alexander struggle at shortstop and some of the other mistakes we saw being made maybe in the outfield. But today was a bad day. Jordan Montgomery, of course, he was not good. But again, the mistakes that he made were then compounded by the defense. At one point, a run came in when he had the bases loaded jam and threw probably his 3 best pitches of the day to get a strikeout. But then a run comes in on Jose Herrera, a catcher's interference call on Jose Herrera. And it's like that right there was such an indication of how today was going to go, because even when you thought maybe they'll get out of it, some mistake, and in this case, not even by the pitcher, caused a run to score. Jordan Montgomery allowed 6 runs in the inning to score and 8 runs total. But like I said, only 4 of those runs were earned. And I think that kind of, when you talk about him allowing 8 runs total, that really displays what went on today. The defense behind him was just very, very bad. And I mean, honestly, it goes around. Like we saw Geraldo Perdomo trying to make some plays that he wasn't able to make, some spectacular plays. Corbin Carroll deserves some flowers for his defense in center field because he did make some great plays, especially there in the ninth inning when the game was kind of out of reach. But this one is not on the offense. The offense put up 6 runs today. I'm not saying that that's, solely enough to win a baseball game, but the offense produced. Ketel Marte continues to be the mighty, mighty Marte. He does move on, by the way, when it comes to the All-Star voting, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But Ketel was 2 for 3 today with a home run. Not exactly sure why that's the guy you choose to pinch hit for with Blaze Alexander late in the game, but I'm really just splitting hairs at this point because the Diamondbacks were down by 7, so it really doesn't matter. Geraldo Perdomo is 2 for 4 with an RBI. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. continues to be very, very good in the month of June. He was 2 for 3 with an RBI, so the defense wasn't the problem. The bullpen was just as bad today as Jordan Montgomery. And again, Jordan Montgomery is a disappointment, and I understand. You can't say he's not. Not only has he had, Jordan Montgomery was considered to be one of the elite pitchers available on the market. And I will
you're very right. It's just that the way you said it felt like a parent, you're a disappointment to the Montgomery name.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm a Monty, right? Like when I was in Puerto Rico, people my nickname was Monty. So I'm a fellow Monty as far as last names go, nicknames being decided on that. I don't like this. I don't like being included in this particular family because, again, Montgomery, when you really take a look at the Diamondbacks acquiring him and what has happened to this starting rotation due to injury, Jordan Montgomery should be the savior of this pitching staff. He should be the one day that you don't have to worry about. He should be the one outing that you're going to get a quality start from. But again, that's not what's happening. And I don't know exactly the reason why this season has been such a disaster for him. We have seen, just like some of these other players, just like we were talking about yesterday with Ryan Nelson, we've seen moments where we know what Jordan Montgomery can be, and it looks a lot like what we've seen out of him in the past. But he has days like today where things don't go his way. And honestly, like I said, I don't want to, even with calling him a disappointment, I don't want to put this solely on him. Jordan Montgomery was responsible for 4 earned runs. The defense behind him allowed more runs than that to score. The bullpen comes in, allows 5. If we're talking about Jordan Montgomery only allowing 4 earned runs in this game, that gives the Diamondbacks actually a chance to win, right? He not only has not been able to go out there and be effective, but days like this are happening too often. There are too many days where you look at his line and you're seeing 3 innings pitched, 2 2/3 innings pitched. And that really is the part that hurts this starting rotation and this bullpen, when you have your starting pitcher go out there and give you that kind of length. He also destroyed a PitchComm in the dugout, a video that many of you have probably seen on Twitter. And if you haven't seen, I definitely suggest you go and seek out, because I can relate to that moment. Before video game controllers were as expensive as they were, sometimes inanimate objects needed to be to blame for poor performances. And I can definitely relate to him absolutely smashing his PitchComm there in the dugout. What kind of sucked was he really wanted to break it and smash it. And I mean, that's a satisfying thing. When you want to smash a controller, you don't want to just nick it on the side or just ding it up a little bit. You want to smash it into pieces and see the insides of it, the working part, go everywhere, right? That's probably what Jordan wanted when he smashed his PitchComm in the dugout. And it took him more than one try. And again, that didn't really help his day either. I'm just saying. But again,
he's blaming the PitchComm. Stupid PitchComm.
I mean, it was what was telling him what to throw. So, I mean, who's to blame here, really, if you're not going to at least blame the PitchComm some? Of course, you also have to blame Kevin Newman at third, because that really did not work out today. Torey did speak before the game about putting Kevin Newman at third, and this is what Torey had to say in regards to that.
And it's been on my mind. I mean, we breathe the same air as you guys. We think of things the same way you guys think of the things the same way as you guys do. So yeah, I think it was just natural for me to see what Newman looked like over there. And He's been solid defensively. He's had a really good year offensively in the role that we've asked him to play, and he's helped us win games. I feel like he deserves an opportunity to show us what he can do over there.
Well, unfortunately, he did show what he could do over there, and I understand it from the perspective of how his bat has been, and honestly how reliable Kevin Newman was at shortstop. But I do think that, again, this proves that sometimes even when guys like Gino are struggling, you still probably want that guy at third base. Christian Walker, that's a no-brainer, right? If Christian Walker was struggling at first base, we all know we would still want Christian Walker over there, right? You'd want Seawalk there because he is one of the best defensive first basemen. And I'm not going to say Gino is quite that at third base, but I'm going to say that Gino is better defensively than your average third baseman. And even if he's not giving you much more than one hit and, 2 strikeouts a game or 3 strikeouts a game, that part sucks. It's still a sacrifice you're making to have a very, very good defender over there at third base. And today we saw how easy, how easy he makes it look and how hard it can actually be for somebody else who is still a very talented Major League Baseball player, right? We're not talking about Kevin Newman not being able to play, shortstop. He plays shortstop very well, but you saw that error today. And I mean, just some other plays, like I said, the earlier play where, you felt like Gino probably would have come in more and been a bit more aggressive about a play that Kevin kind of passed off to Perdomo, and that's that lack of experience playing over there. Plus, Kevin Newman's also a shortstop, and oftentimes as a shortstop, I imagine you think, God damn it, that guy got in my way of making that play when it comes to the third baseman. I'm sure that's a thought that goes through your head. But anyway, maybe just a thought that goes through my head. But today was just a bad day for the Diamondbacks. I mean, again, defensively, this was just a rough day for them. And again, as much as Jordan Montgomery is going to take the blame for this, right? He is not only going to get the loss, he is going to be the reason why the Diamondbacks lost this game, but it's not solely on his shoulders. Again, the bullpen comes in, 3 runs allowed by Scott McGuff, 2 more runs allowed by Bryce Jarvis. These are the guys that Torey tends to use in garbage time like this of a game that was out of reach. It turns out that the offense was able to make it a much closer game than it was, or maybe could have been a much closer game based on how the offense performed. But instead, the bullpen, didn't really keep it a competitive game, didn't keep it close. And now we're talking about a 13-6 loss. This one's rough because the Diamondbacks do have the Oakland A's coming to town tomorrow and a 3-game series with the A's. But as we talked about it, after that, they go to Los Angeles, they go to San Diego, and, they have some tough opponents, including the Braves between now and the All-Star break. Things could get out of control for this team fast, especially considering that the 2 losses in this series in Game 2 and Game 3 are they're pretty substantial losses. They don't leave you feeling very confident about your ability to go into Los Angeles and go into San Diego and win these games. I mean, the Dodgers and the Padres are both missing key personnel, so at least it's a good time to be playing them, and the Diamondbacks do have a shot. They also have Zach Gallen returning on Saturday, according to rumors and speculation. So maybe they could turn things around, but it feels very much like they need to. Or else, they could find themselves kind of in a bigger hole than they want to be by the time that All-Star break comes around. Of course, one guy that has not been letting us down in any way, shape, or form is Ketel Marte, and he is our king snake for this series. Ketel was 4 for 9 with 2 home runs. He had 2 walks and 4 RBI. And again, Ketel is just an incredible baseball player that is having, one of his best seasons all around. He absolutely deserves to be a starting second baseman for the All-Star game. And he moves one step closer because he is a finalist and has moved on to phase 2 with Luis Arraez in the National League All-Star voting. But the work is not done, folks. None of those votes from the first round carry over to phase 2. So that means that Diamondbacks fans, you got to get out there and vote. Got to make sure that we get Ketel to the All-Star game. I mean, this obviously is a no-brainer, but again, you can't assume that he is going to get in there. So do your part, make sure you vote, make sure you give Ketel the love because he absolutely needs it. What do you think, Damon?
I think that Ketel's the only guy who pulls his weight consistently this entire season, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else is hot and cold.
Yeah.
Even, Brandon Pfaadt's been fairly consistent, but like even he has his bad moments.
It's kind of like Damon on this show.
Sure.
He's the only one that pulls his weight here consistently.
Yeah. Jesse, Derek.
Everybody knows.
It's a wild card.
Everybody knows I don't. That's you don't even have to really know the details to know and assume that I don't pull my weight around here. And of course, Jesse. He just loves baseball. He loves being at the ballpark. So he uses, I have to be here. I can't leave. I have to talk to the players and the coaches. Who says you have to do any of that? Leave in the fifth inning like I do. Or on a game like today, leave after the second inning. It really doesn't matter because sometimes it's not great. But of course, we do appreciate Damon. He is our dog. He is the people's dog. And of course, we do appreciate Ketel because this man has been doing it for this team the entire time he's been a part of this team. I mean, even thinking back to how amicable Ketel was about switching to center field, right? Like Ketel this entire time being a member of the Arizona Diamondbacks has been the MVP of this team. He has been the guy that's tried to do everything to help this team win. And like I said several times before, he's just an absolute joy to watch. So I think that he deserves the start. And I would love to see maybe Ketel mic'd up at the All-Star game or, just maybe getting some of those, again, his boyish hijinks that he has out there when he's playing the baseball game. That would be a lot of fun. But make sure you vote. Do not assume other Diamondbacks fans are going to take care of that for you. They're not all like George, right? I tweeted out about our guy George today, who's just relentlessly positive. Love you, George. Thank you. Maybe everybody should try being a little bit more like George, especially on a day like today. That's all I'm saying. But of course, we do thank all of you guys for being here. We thank you guys very much for being Diamondbacks fans, and more importantly, for being here for the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss whenever our wonderful shows go live. Drop us a like. We always appreciate when you drop us a like. Of course, if you're listening on the audio podcasting side, we love it when you subscribe on your favorite audio podcasting app. We also love when you leave us a review. We appreciate that feedback. It's 5-star reviews, not to pressure you into giving us one of those, but those 5-star reviews do mean the world to us.
I'll pressure them.
Do it. Hit them with it.
If you guys don't do it, you don't love us. You hate us, in fact. If you don't leave a 5-star review, you might as well just say, I hate you.
Yeah. I don't want you to do well in life. I don't want you to succeed. I don't want you guys to have nice things, right? So, yeah, whatever. No pressure, though. Of course, there's also no pressure when it comes to Shady Rays and their amazing sunglasses, and there's no pressure when you buy online. The reason why is because Shady Rays allows you to return your sunglasses should you not absolutely love them. You can get your money back for free within 30 days. You can exchange them for a new pair. They have hundreds of styles to choose from, and they have amazing sunglasses that, of course, are premium sunglasses that don't cost you the premium price of other companies. They have crystal clear optics. They also have the most insane lost and broken replacement plan in all of eyewear. They tell us if you lose or break your Shady Rays, even on day one, they will send you a new pair, no questions asked. And again, if you don't love the Shady Rays you got, you can get yourself another pair or get your money back. And again, it's an important part of shopping online. I know some retailers make it difficult for you to get, a pair of sunglasses exchanged, something sent back, especially if it doesn't fit, it's not the right size. It's not going to happen with Shady Rays. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out the best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Do you have a pair of sunglasses that you love more than your Shady Rays?
Absolutely not. I have my like kind of, what do you call them? The big style sunglasses. I'm trying to think of like a word for them, like the golf sunglasses.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And they're great. I wore them to run the other day.
Were those the ones you lent me for NASCAR so that
absolutely.
I could fit in at the NASCAR?
Yeah. Aren't those incredible?
Yeah. They're amazing. They're amazing. Almost as amazing as Ryan Reynolds. And now I do have to talk about Mint Mobile, but before that, I want to talk about how much I love Ryan Reynolds. Now, Ryan, if you're watching, I've seen every single one of your movies multiple times. And unlike a lot of people, I think Detective Pikachu is an absolute cinematic masterpiece. I've seen The Captive. I've seen Mississippi Grind. I've seen A Million Ways to Die in the West. I've seen The Voices. I've seen Ripped. I've seen Turbo. I've seen Croods. I've seen Ted. I've seen everything you've done. I am a devoted Wrexham fan, as Damon will attest to. But honestly, of all the things that Ryan Reynolds does, I'm a bigger fan of Mint Mobile, and that's because it's basically half the price of what I pay in 1 month for 3 months of service with Mint Mobile when you sign up. And forget the overpriced wireless plan that you're currently on. You'll save money the entire time you're with Mint Mobile. But of course, like I said, for a limited time right now, you can get 3 months of premium wireless service for just $15 a month. And that's cheaper than some alcoholic beverages when you go out for cocktails. I'm just saying. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Diamondbacks. That's mintmobile.com/Diamondbacks. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Diamondbacks. $45 up front, payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Marcus said, have you seen Buried? Have I seen Buried? I own the DVD. What are we even talking about here? When I say I'm a Ryan Reynolds fan, I mean it in forget fan. Stan is probably the correct word.
And
but
you're the biggest Wrexham fan that the world's ever seen.
Paul Mullen, let's go. Ollie Palmer, huge fan.
I think we have to get out to one of those Shrewsbury Town derbies next year in England or in Wales. I think there's nothing again like you can't say otherwise. It's me, you, Owen, Max, Reese.
Oh yeah,
at the racing track.
Tim wants to know how many times I've watched Green Lantern. Too many times to count. Also, fun fact, Wrexham Lager's big moment was when they got interest in them from an international cruise line or ship. That ended up being the Titanic. So when you talk about everything for Wrexham being a disaster, it literally was. But that's all. That's just a small piece of the town's history. I could go on for hours about that. We need to get the Wrexham podcast started here very, very much. Anyway, we thank you guys, of course, for being here. Corbin Barrels is right. 41 people watching, 15 likes. Yeah, thank you, Corbin. We appreciate you for stopping by.
Not to mention the haters are furious right now, Derek.
What are the haters furious about?
Well, obviously, I mean, just the dislikes.
Oh, yeah. The dislikes. I feel like that wasn't a fair shot, by the way. The 5 of you gave us thumbs down before the show even started. And I mean, just saying, based on my performance, I don't feel like I deserve those yet. I mean, at least wait until we're done with segment 1 before you give us 5 thumbs down. But also, you could wait until we get to the count because we're going to go over the numbers. Why? Because I'm a masochist and I love pain. But let's take a look at the count presented by our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. Twins outscore the Diamondbacks in this 3-game series, 25 runs to 14. Good Lord. Diamondbacks get out hit 33-21. Runners in scoring position, the Twins were 9 for 31. Diamondbacks were 5 for 17. Starting pitching ERA, pretty bad for both teams. 6.61 for the Twins, 9.94 for the D-backs. And you know what? You're gonna get that when one of your starting pitchers only goes 2 2/3, it gives up 4 runs, and another one goes 3 2/3, it gives up 6 runs. Relief pitching ERA, inconsequential, it felt like in this series, aside from game 1, which the Diamondbacks only won by 1 game or 1 run. This one's not great, but 1.84 relief pitching ERA, 4.40 for the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks really continue to struggle when you talk about getting into the bullpen, and I mean, of course, Jesse very much had a feeling that today's outing for the Diamondbacks was going to be a rough one based on the fact that the Twins had just called up their starting pitcher Festa, and based on David Festa, and based on the kind of like fastball he threw, it just spelt kind of disaster for the Diamondbacks. They did a good job against Festa. Again, they didn't get absolutely outclassed by a starting pitcher in this one. He only went 5 innings pitched. He gave up 5 earned, allowing 7 hits. So the Diamondbacks weren't exactly, completely defeated by starting pitching here, but they might have been completely defeated by their own pitching in this one. This day was a bad day, and nobody pitching wise deserves any kind of flowers when it comes to the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Just an all around disgusting, awful series. Like, why do they do that? They did this against the Phillies too. You play a good team, you win game one, you feel good about the series, and then you just get trounced in 2 straight games to end it out, and then you feel like an uncompetitive baseball team again.
My older brothers are 6 years and 7 years older than me, respectively. So I actually understand this series of events very much so. My brothers would tend to go easy on me when we played sports together due to the age difference. They wanted me to feel like I had a chance. They wanted me to feel good about myself until I actually beat them. And then they felt a need to, whether it was a fighting video game and beat me 100 times in a row, or, play another one-on-one game and just put up 21 straight points on their 8-year-old younger brother. This very much feels like you poke the bear, much like in the Phillies series. You win a game and you almost piss them off to the point that they just come out and absolutely whoop that trick in the next 2 games. And that's what it felt like. I mean, this one, we knew the Twins were a good team. We knew coming into this that this was going to be a difficult series. Game 1, the victory in game 1 very much felt like the Diamondbacks played a well-rounded game that honestly, outside of one, maybe Brandon Pfaadt being left in for a little bit too long, that game was pretty well played on both sides of the ball by the Diamondbacks. And then the rest of the series happens. Today's game, obviously, I mean, you can't pin on the offense. You really feel like they not only, I guess, gave it a shot at a comeback when this game was well out of reach, but they put up enough runs today to consider this a game that the offense could have won for them. It was really just, Jordan Montgomery. And going back to the disappointment that is Jordan Montgomery, I mean, there's a lot of things about this. Right now, again, this sucks. I'm sure Montgomery would be one of the first people to say that he stunk today and that this outing, really sucks for the team, sucks for him, sucks all around, right? But I still feel like Jordan Montgomery is having one of the most, I guess a frustrating year all around for him. Not only were there the frustrations from when he signed, but everything that, happened, changing agents, just this entire season has been weird and frustrating and definitely a letdown for him personally. I would also say
probably going to pick up that option, we assume at this point, right?
Where is he going to get more money than that?
We're expecting him to be on this team next year, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is.
It kind of sucks, except for the fact that, again, a baseball player isn't necessarily what they are today, right? Like, just because he had a bad outing today doesn't mean that this is what Jordan Montgomery is. You look at his body of work this season, and yeah, I can understand how people feel like this is a failure and this is a bad signing for the team. Honestly, it could have been a much bigger failure if he was pitching like this and ended up getting that contract that he wanted. Could you imagine a team committing like 5 years to a guy who's pitching like this in his first, season with the team?
Yeah,
I would bad. Like, that would be, the alarm bells would be ringing for me.
Jesse brought it up the other day, but like, it's kind of crazy. I mean, we signed 3 of like the projected consensus top 15 guys in free agency, and all 3 of them have done nothing to help this team, essentially. I mean, Lourdes helped them in the first 2 series of the season. After that,
sorry, I'm laughing at the comment because Ryan's asking for Thunderbolt 47 to show up, yell and moan. And I was actually wondering the exact same thing. Jay Cuddy says Trick Williams reference in regards to my whoop that trick comment. Yes. Jay, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but I'm a pro wrestling commissioner, so you're going to get a lot of those on this show. I try to only do it when Jesse's not here because it just confuses him more. But
that's not true.
I mean, sometimes it's fun to confuse Jesse, but I try to explain my wrestling references to Jesse,
Maybe
where I'm not going to do that with these guys. These guys know the reference.
Oh,
They
yeah.
get it. They get it. Of course, we do have Jesse joining us here from the clubhouse shortly. But before he gets on, I do want to thank so many of you that are already diehard members. We appreciate you guys being part of our family. If you are interested in joining up, I assure you it is worth your trouble. If you do enjoy the content we're putting out here at PHNX, make sure that you get every single bit of it, including all of our written content from all of our wonderful writers, including the legend himself, Craig Morgan, the legend himself, Gerald Bourget, and Jesse, too. You also get access to our Discord lounge, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan. We have all sorts of original content for you in there, including interviews, exclusive episodes of the show, Mailbag Mondays, that we do just for the Discord. And we also do a little squeeze play game show that I host, where the only rule is, or I guess the only goal is to entertain me. I'm much like some sort of like Roman Empire lord, having three people tell jokes and make me laugh, but
like a jester,
like a jester. Yeah. Like dance is what I'm saying. But anyway, Corbin Barrel says, don't join if you're not interesting. That's not true, because joining the Discord and becoming a diehard might make you more interesting. I'll tell you, there's a lot of characters in there. And of course, these people can help make you a better person, at least make you enjoy sports more. Not to mention, you get a free t-shirt from PHNXLocker.com, get access to all of that stuff I talked about, and discounts on our events. So make sure you join us today over at GoPHNX.com. Big shout out to Desert Financial Credit Union, not only for sponsoring the count, but for getting me started on my home ownership journey. Hopefully they can get you started as well, or hope they can help you achieve your financial goals and dreams. Look to Desert Financial for checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. Desert Financial has financial experts who are committed to their members and the community, as well as committed to helping you do what you want to do in life, right? Sometimes, again, personal bankers and some of these people that we trust with our money, they can sometimes just be glorified salespeople, not the fine folks at Desert Financial. They are there, of course, to help you with whatever your goals are. So make sure you check them out. When you open a free checking account online, you can get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200 today. Also, I should be drinking a Four Peaks beer right now. I know that sometimes I drink them after wins, but they're just as drinkable after losses. And, honestly, we have a fridge full of them and it's in my eyesight. And yet I don't have one, and it makes me sad because I really, really enjoy the Bad Birdie Juicy Golden Ale. And of course you can too. They come in 15 packs now that you can get at grocery stores all around the valley. You can also find them in tap lines at your favorite bar. So make sure to check out all the wonderful beers Four Peaks have to offer, including the Wow Wheat, Kilt Lifter, all the classics, of course, big hot knot guy as well. So visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all your favorite beers and events. Check out at Four Peaks Brewer at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks, and please drink responsibly. And also don't miss out on the chicken tendies. They're next level. All right. Well, of course, like I said, joining us now is the man himself, the Thunderstick, the vice mayor. It is the one and only Jesse Friedman from Chase Field. Jesse, any chance that Jordan Montgomery is still giving up hits out there?
You know what, Derek? I lost you. We've got some noise, some exciting noise in the background. So
yeah,
you're gonna have to say that one more time.
It's always an adventure out there, Jesse. I guess is that noise Jordan Montgomery still giving up hits by chance, or is that just general construction noise?
Yeah, I believe it is. I believe it is the D-backs doing some work on the field. But yeah, this was a rough one for Jordan Montgomery. No doubt about it. He gave up 9 hits. 9 hits in 2 2/3 innings is never great. Montgomery obviously has had his share of starts like this year where he's not really pitching deeply into the game, and he's also giving up kind of a whole bunch of runs. This was, I believe, his 4th start of the season where he pitched 4 innings or less and also gave up 6 runs or more, which is not a great combination, especially he's only made 13 starts this season altogether. So. It was a rough one for him, but frankly, I think the Diamondbacks defense was just as responsible for what happened today as Montgomery was. That second inning was particularly brutal.
Brando in the chat says, you could just tell it wasn't going well. It started with the catcher interference. I felt the same thing because in that moment, it was no outs. Jordan had gotten a strikeout that actually looked pretty decent. You felt like maybe there was a chance that he could get a double play here, something like that. And instead, we get a catcher's interference call that allows, I believe it was Byron Buxton, to walk in. And, it just felt like from that moment on, you were seeing not only Jordan battling the batters, but it felt like he was also battling his own defense at times.
He absolutely was. Yeah, I mean, you look at how that second inning transpired. I mean, there were, I think, 4 different moments defensively that you could point out that went wrong for the Diamondbacks. First 2 singles in the inning just kind of were what they were. You've got 2 on, nobody out. But then I believe it was Willie Castro.
Yeah.
The ground ball to Ketel Marte, and Ketel was initially looked to second to try to start a double play or at least get the lead man or at least get the guy out at second as opposed to the guy out at first. He didn't have enough time to do that, so he decides to throw to first instead. And at that point, it is too late. And I believe it was Castro who was able to beat that out. That's a play where you probably should have gotten 1 out. So then you've got the bases loaded with nobody out. Montgomery does bounce back. He strikes out Kyle Farmer. So you've got 1 out in the inning. You feel like you've got some semblance of a chance to at least limit the damage. And then it's Manuel Margot knocking a single through to left field. That was the play where it did get between third and short. Geraldo Perdomo made a diving attempt. He wasn't able to get there. Kevin Newman, however, did kind of move over to his left. And it looked to me like he stopped a little short. It wouldn't have been an easy play by any means, so I don't want to say it should have been an error or anything like that. But it's a play where if Eugenio Suarez is in there, who's more comfortable at that position, you wonder if he's able to at least keep that ball on the infield. And then it was the catcher's interference, as you said, with Carlos Correa. That was the very next batter. That brings in another run. And then it was the throwing error by Kevin Newman with Royce Lewis at the plate, which turned what should have also been an out into, a couple of runs coming in to score. So 4 different instances in that inning defensively, 2 very clear mistakes that literally counted as errors, with Herrera's catcher's interference and then Newman's throwing error. But those other 2 mistakes as well. It was just a brutal inning for the Diamondbacks, really in all facets of the game. And that's sort of what Torey described after this one. Like, this was a team loss. No one did their job in this game for the Diamondbacks. Jordan Montgomery did not do his job today. The defense did not do their job. The bullpen did not really do their job. And the offense was able to muster up some sort of, runs toward the end of this game. But, they weren't really ever able to make this a game again. The Twins just had too big of a lead early.
We have some comments for you, Jesse. Jay Cuddy in the chat wanted to know why your earbuds are so tangled. Corbin Barrels in the chat says, Jesse, you're way too well put together for your earbuds to be in a knot. Also, you better be drinking water. So yes, these are all things that people are very concerned about when it comes to you. But Kevin says, why is Jesse still there? I felt really warm at the ballpark. Kevin, I also felt extremely warm at the ballpark. That's why, again, I left after the second inning. Jesse, meanwhile, lives at the ballpark, and we don't allow him to actually leave. He has a sleeping bag, some mild bathroom, like toiletries, and all that, so that he can just stay there during these homestands, because we can't have him leaving in case breaking news happens or Zach Gallen comes back. But, Jesse, I do know you do have some injury updates here for the Diamondbacks. What do you got for us?
Well, first of all, we just heard from Torey after this game that Zach Gallen threw a 41-pitch bullpen, and he, of course, did not confirm that Gallen will return to the Diamondbacks this weekend, but he basically did everything but that. He said it's probably the worst-kept secret in the Arizona Diamondbacks organization, so I think you can pretty much lock in Zach Gallen starting this weekend. Saturday appears to be the day where that will happen. So certainly good for the D-backs to get him back. Gabby Moreno did catch that bullpen today, as Lovullo had told us earlier. So Moreno continues to track well. I still appears that he could be back, could rejoin the Diamondbacks in Los Angeles after the minimum 10-day stay on the injured list. So pretty good news there. As far as the other guys, Merrill Kelly was out here today doing some stuff at the ballpark. People might have seen him on the TV broadcast. He was in the dugout, I believe, as well, to watch this lovely baseball game that we all just got to witness. And Torey was asked about the comments that Merrill made the other day at that Q&A session, where he talked about targeting that road series in mid-August where the Diamondbacks go to Boston. Torey, it didn't sound like Torey was necessarily on the same page with Merrill on that. Not that he was like openly on a different page, but he seemed maybe a little bit surprised that Merrill had gone out and said that. He talked about a conversation that he had with Merrill today where he just said, like, look, we need you as soon as we possibly can get you back. And of course, the D-backs can, you can't really rush this process. That doesn't mean that they're not going to take their time and make sure that they do this right. But there is certainly a level of urgency here. And, whether it's mid-August or maybe it is possible that Merrill could be back a little bit sooner than that. The Diamondbacks really, really need him back. And Torey also said Merrill was very encouraged today for whatever that's worth. Didn't offer much in the way of specifics, but he said that Merrill really encouraged with how he's felt the last couple of days as he's gone about his throwing program. So still no plans at this point for when Merrill could get out on a mound. He still has to progress further in his throwing program before he could get there. The other guy, of course, is Eduardo Rodriguez. And tried to get a little bit more clarity today on exactly when Erod is going to have that follow-up MRI. Torey said he thinks it will happen within the next week. So between now and, sometime middle of next week, it appears that Erod will have a follow-up MRI. And if everything is clean there, then Erod could get back, could get out on a mound shortly thereafter and really start making progress on his way back. I asked, what are you guys kind of waiting for? Is there a certain box that you want to check before you have that follow-up MRI?
Is he sore? Is there some sort of something there that's causing them to be this cautious?
Right. Yeah, that's what I was curious about too. And Torey just said healing. So it doesn't sound like there's any kind of feedback they're looking to get from Erod. They just decided to push it out farther. And so it sounds like at some point next week, they feel like they're going to reach the point where there might be enough healing. And they're gonna do another MRI and see what that has to say.
All right. Well, I mean, obviously a big story today was Jordan Montgomery's short outing, and then something that also became a story was him throwing the PitchComm in the dugout. I think Candace said it in the chat, Damon. There, if you scroll back a little bit, it was a pretty good dig. Candace right there said his best pitch was when he was in the dugout being pissed off. Maybe not entirely true, but there was that one strikeout that was pretty good. But he did have that whole incident with the PitchComm there. And I mean, speaking as someone, like I said earlier, that's been known to take my frustration out on video game controllers, I can relate. However, this wasn't Jordan's finest moment, obviously.
It was not. No, I have some reaction from Torey and from Montgomery himself that we'll play here in a second. But yeah, it wasn't a great look. I mean, I'm sure that any time a major leaguer goes in the dugout and does something like that, I think you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. You know that there are going to be clips of that floating around on social media, and sure enough, that was the case after this game. But it's just a function of Jordan Montgomery having what he described as a season that he's never had before. I mean, he's never had a season like this where he has struggled to this degree. This is uncharted territory for him, and it's clearly weighing on him to a degree. But at the same time, he actually seemed, I wouldn't say encouraged with the way that his outing went today, but I wouldn't say he was as frustrated with his own performance today as maybe he has been after some recent outings. And you can understand why. Montgomery was getting quite a lot of ground balls. The contact was hard at times, but not all the time. There were some balls that weren't struck all that hard that stuck through, or the Diamondbacks defenders were not able to make a play on. So I don't think this was Montgomery's worst outing of the season. I think he deserved probably a lot better than what his final line would show. But still, he's certainly not content with how things went tonight or how things have gone up to this point in the season.
Well, I know we have some video of that coming up here shortly, but I did want to cover, I know we haven't had a chance to talk about it, Carlos Correa getting hit there in the 7th inning by Bryce Jarvis. I know that sometimes, getting hit by a pitch looks very bad, but that for some reason, this was like one of the worst like looking things I recall seeing, mostly just because of the way that Correa like held his arm like it had immediately broken in half when he got hit by the pitch. Any word on how Correa is doing?
Correa has a contusion.
Okay.
Left. It's eluding me whether it was a elbow. I want to say it was an elbow contusion, is what they said. But yeah, it was just a contusion. So he's day to day. It sounds like he avoided a significant injury. So good news for the Twins. Certainly there. You're right. It did not look good in the moment.
No.
He walked straight into the dugout and down the steps, and especially in a game that was as lopsided as this one was.
Right.
Even if Correa did feel okay, there just wasn't really any reason to risk it in a game like this. So you can understand why he did that.
And honestly, I don't like, it's one of those things where we get caught up and fired up as fans in the moment, but like you really don't want to see somebody like that, get hurt and injured. That really sucks. And especially like you said, here in game 3 with a blowout in hand, like the last thing you really want to see as a baseball fan is somebody like that have a major injury occur that could impact their season or the Twins season. This Twins team has been very good, and the Diamondbacks got to see that firsthand in these last 2 games.
This Twins team is good. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Like, as much as the Diamondbacks did not take care of business in this series and did not play the way that you would have liked to see them play, part of this series is just the reality that the Twins, I think, are a lot better of a team than at least I realized personally. The lineup that they had against Jordan Montgomery today, 1 through 8, like all these guys can hit. I think it was an entirely right-handed hitting lineup. Their lineup is, or their roster is very well built against lefties in particular. I think I saw they have the 3rd highest WRC plus in baseball against lefties coming in to this game. So I normally think of the Twins for their pitching, for Joe Ryan and for Pablo Lopez, although he hasn't been quite as good this season. Their bullpen, they've had some big time back end relievers over the years as well. But this offense is pretty legit, and the Diamondbacks got a big taste of that over the course of especially the last 2 days.
A lot of people in the chat, Jesse, are asking about Davison de Los Santos based on everything that we've seen here. I think it's or not everything we've seen here. I think from what we're seeing of him in Reno, and we know about what the Diamondbacks are dealing with, struggling with third base to find an answer there, right? This is a great example, I think, of why the Diamondbacks continue to roll with Gino. Davison de Los Santos, no matter how good his bat is, the mistakes we saw from Kevin Newman is nothing compared to what we might see out of Davison de Los Santos at a major league level. I don't really know, but I'm just saying, like, third base is one of those positions that is very difficult to play, and someone like Gino, once again, does make playing third base look very easy at times, considering when you have someone else in there, just like when we have someone else in at first base, when Christian Walker is in the lineup, you realize how good they are defensively and how effortless they make that position look.
100%. Yeah. Gino is the best defensive third baseman on this team. I don't think there's any question about that from anyone really. As far as De Los Santos is concerned, Diamondbacks have gotten him some looks there, I believe, in AAA, but at third base. But I don't know if I see it. They basically made the decision earlier this year to just move him to first base and have him focus on just one position and continue to be developed there. There are reports that I've seen from him at third base are not positive, and frankly, I don't know if he's really a major league ready first baseman either. Yeah. So I just think it's too much to ask. Davison de Los Santos, we've seen guys have big numbers in AAA and the numbers not necessarily translate to the big league. So it's not like his hitting is a sure thing and the defense would be the only question mark. It's that the defense would be a big question mark if you try to play him at third, and he's still so young. I'm not sure he's really ready to face major league pitching at this point. So I would be really surprised if the D-backs tried to bring up De Los Santos and have him be their solution at third base.
The Diamondbacks have a series starting tomorrow with the Oakland A's, and obviously we know how important that series is because things get very tough after that, Jesse. And I didn't think that this Twins team, I wasn't really factoring this Twins team in as one of the easier teams the Diamondbacks had on their schedule, but I mean, the Oakland A's right now is kind of almost the last stop between now and the All-Star, break for some wins that they could maybe stack. I mean, it's not to say they can't win against the Dodgers. It's not to say they can't win against the Padres. It does get much tougher after this series with the A's.
100%. Yeah. I mean, these last couple of series where the D-backs have won just one out of the 3 games. I mean, let's face it, that one game that they won in Philadelphia, they won by 1 run. And the Phillies were, they were very much in that game up until the final out. And then the D-backs were, there just wasn't. They had very little offense in the last 2 games of that series. One of the games was a total blowout. And then here in this series, the D-backs win the first game by just 1 run. Very, very close, right? That line drive from Ryan Jeffers with 2 outs. Very well. I mean, the Twins came very close to tying that game on Tuesday night. And then the last couple of days, it's just been a blowout in favor of the Twins. So D-backs have really, although they've managed to salvage a game in each of these past 2 series, they have looked pretty overmatched against 2 good teams in the Phillies and the Twins. And with the Dodgers and Padres coming next week, 2 more good teams, you absolutely have to take care of business against the Oakland A's this weekend.
Jesse, have you ever broken an inanimate object in frustration? Have you ever been so mad at an object that didn't deserve for you to be mad at that you smashed it into little pieces?
Yeah, you know what? I do have to confess. There's one.
Oh my God!
I can remember one item in my life where I have thrown and broken, and that was a ping pong paddle. As you know,
yes!
Derek, as
yes!
you know, I am very competitive when it comes to playing ping pong, and me and one of my older brothers played. We played about 25 games of ping pong every single day for an entire summer, like when I was in high school. And there was one day where I just lost it. I would almost always be up late. We would be playing to 21. And I'd be up 19-11 or something like that.
And he'd just come back.
He would come back almost every time. And it was just a matter of could I stave off the comeback, or would I succumb to it and wind up losing? So
did you feel the pressure
day where I lost it?
Like, I imagine that happens once, and then after it happens once, then you're like, oh boy, here we go again every single time. And then that's kind of what starts to throw you into that position. Yeah. Yeah.
Part of me wonders to this day if he wasn't really trying until we got close to the end, and then that's when he would really turn it on, and then I just suddenly. The other thing is, once you get late in the game, at least the way that we would play, it would be his serve. He would get to serve on game point every single time. And he had just a nasty serve that I had a very hard time with. So that made it that made it tough.
My favorite thing is Jesse becoming a completely different person when he plays ping pong.
When he plays ping pong,
talking shit to Torey, breaking stuff.
Yeah. He becomes an unhinged. It's amazing. Yeah. Or you could say it's the evolved version of Jesse. I don't know why we all have to act like we're so all well put together, right? We've all smashed something. Jesse is, but like he said, even he has a moment of weakness, and that's amazing. See, I thought it would be a calculator or something like that.
Wow.
And I don't mean that from a nerdy.
Nerd.
No.
No, for sure.
No, yes, I did.
That's exactly.
I don't mean that from a nerdy perspective. I mean that because, I could see Jesse only really getting mad when equipment he needs to work at a critical time fails him. I've seen how mad he's gotten at our microphones before, and I completely was with him on it too. But yeah, we all have to act like we're also higher, above throwing something and breaking it, right?
I feel like me and you are big, throw and break stuff.
Well, because the stuff
we're
deserves
both emotional guys.
The stuff deserves
I vividly remember one time I was my chore was cleaning up after the dog.
Yeah.
And I had the pooper scooper in my hand, and the stuff kept falling out, and I got really mad, and I slammed it on the ground and snapped it in half.
Broke it.
Just slammed it as hard as I could. That's the one that came to mind for me.
Yeah, I had a monopod that failed me, and one of the little feet kind of got broken, and I could have probably fixed it or done something, and I was just so mad that this monopod wouldn't stand up on its own while I was trying to do a one shot that I just smashed it into pieces, and I'm sure there's at least one person at Salt River Fields that saw me do it and is like, hey, that's the guy. By the way, that's the guy that smashed his stuff. I saw him. He's a psycho. But we do have, of course, more thoughts from both Jordan Montgomery and Torey Lovullo on Monty smashing his PitchComm. This is what Torey had to say in regards to the incident.
Player comes in the dugout and throws the PitchComm against the wall or throws the glove.
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
I didn't see that. I know that I was probably on the mound. I didn't see that. I was a very emotional player, and I snapped, and I expect players to snap. I think they're very passionate. I don't have a problem with it. I just think when it crosses the line where you throw something and it hits a teammate, that's crossing the line, or it crosses the line where I have to address it and talk about it because it's directed at me, one of his coaches, or his teammate. That's where I think it's gone too far. I don't think that was the case. I think he was just battling some frustration, and he just was letting it eat.
I love Torey because of that exact thing. Like, Torey is human. Torey is, the first thing he'll tell you is he's very Italian, and that his emotions definitely get the best of him at times. But Torey understands that. Torey understands emotions running high in that moment, and he understands people reacting that way. Like, that's never going to be a thing that is going to, like, make Torey think less of you. He's a very understanding manager when it comes to that.
Yeah, we also have Jordan Montgomery speaking on just kind of his general frustration right now, as well as that incident. Here's what he had to say.
I just expect a lot out of myself. I know I've let a lot of my teammates down. I'm just trying to be better.
Was that the PitchComm you were throwing?
Yeah. So I don't do that often, but sometimes you just got to do it.
Is the PitchComm okay?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to survive it.
How do you kind of navigate the mental hurdles and the ups and downs of the season, specifically this month, from what you've experienced?
This has definitely been the hardest year of my career. But I work hard. I know what I'm capable of, and just got to keep working.
You're right, Jesse. He does look different after this. And again, that was kind of funny for him to joke about the PitchComm, and I definitely don't think that PitchComm is making it out alive. But, sometimes you do have to do something like that. And sometimes, you had a bad day, but you still know what you are capable of, and you know what kind of pitcher you are. You know what kind of athlete you are. I feel like even though Diamondbacks fans and Damon and I, we're all very disappointed, right? But we still feel like Jordan Montgomery is a guy that once he can get himself dialed in, once he can find that groove, he can absolutely be an asset for this team, even if it comes this late in the season. But he still needs to figure out a way to get there.
Yeah, you can definitely tell from his tone there, like genuinely frustrated for sure. But I don't know, maybe throwing the PitchComm like helped him kind of get over.
Yeah, he does. He seems a little bit more at peace there with that. Like, yeah, it's not a great day, but again, like we talked about, you can as a pitcher sometimes kind of at least tell yourself like that wasn't all on me. A lot of like my defense really let me down today.
Yeah, he didn't put it in those words, but yeah, I mean you could tell it was. He did sort of feel that way, partially, that his defense, there were some moments, and it was undeniable no matter who you were in the stadium. The defense should have picked up Jordan Montgomery, certainly at least more than they were able to. But yeah, you also hear him say there, like, this is the hardest year of my career. And there's no question about that, right? I mean, Jordan Montgomery's had a lot of success in this league. I know he had Tommy John surgery at one point, and there were some hiccups sort of working his way back from that. But, you go back to the 2021 season, really ever since then, Jordan Montgomery, you could lock it in as being a solid innings eater, a guy with a sub-4 ERA. And obviously he has just not been that so far for the Diamondbacks.
Jesse, you're going to get this episode DMCA'd off of YouTube. I know it for a fact, but not your fault. You're not the one playing the music, though I do want to blame you for it. But
can you guys hear these sweet jams that are happening?
Of course we can. People have been having a great time. Oh yeah, we're definitely getting sued. Jay Cuddy in the chat says, so conflicted about this man because I really like Monty as a dude and I feel bad for him. This is a problem that Jesse and I have quite often when it comes to calling guys bums and labeling them as someone the team should move on from, because these are all pretty good dudes, and you get to know a lot of them doing this job that we do. So it's hard to be as critical, and I understand Diamondbacks fans being very, very, frustrated with Jordan Montgomery. And I think that the front office is probably fairly frustrated with him, considering that they paid what they paid to bring him onto this team, and he's been performing the way that he has. And again, Jesse, earlier I said the most disappointing fact is what's gone on with the starting rotation and how much the Diamondbacks truly needed him to kind of be some form of stabilizing force on the starting rotation, and he definitely hasn't been that. But I do know that you have more from him on this outing.
Yeah. How do you assess what happened today?
I don't really know how to. I feel like every ball found a hole. Could have been 60 miles per hour. It could have been 100. So just gotta keep grinding, I guess.
In terms of the way your pitches were coming out, did they feel as good as they had been the last couple times?
Yeah, I was getting my four-seamer in there. I was jamming them a lot. Just nothing to show for it.
Is that as frustrated as you've been after an outing in your career?
Yeah, you get them on the ground, and it just seems like everything found a hole, or just was just out of reach, or spinning funny to where Marty couldn't get a read on it. Those usually outs, and when they're not, a good lineup like that is going to make it hurt.
Is that almost more frustrating than if you had just not pitched well and kind of?
You never want to just get barreled consistently, so at least I can know that I was executing some pitches. So I'll just keep working hard, flush it, and be back out there in 6.
Kate in the comments wants me to shave Jesse, and I thought that we already proved that my facial hair has no actual bearing on this team, and especially not on Jordan Montgomery's outings, but I guess that might not still be clear enough yet. Jordan, again, does sound very frustrated there, but it's understandable, right? I think you can understand why he's feeling the way he's feeling, and the fact that he's kind of motivated to get back out there and show people he's not this pitcher.
I can understand people who are frustrated by this. The Diamondbacks have signed 3 left-handed starting pitchers who, significant free agent dollars in the last 5 years, and one of them was DFA'd with about 2 years remaining. Another one has an ERA over 6, 13 starts into his Diamondbacks career, and the other one has yet to throw a pitch, and is obviously out with a shoulder injury and might not be back until well into the second half of the season.
Might not even be real, according to our chat. He might not even be real.
Might not be real. Who's to say? So yeah, it's rough. The Diamondbacks went out. They spent money. They were widely praised for spending that money, and it has blown up in their face. I guess not all of it. Randall Grichuk and Jock Peterson have been good, but pretty much all the other money that they spent this offseason, including taking on Eugenio Suarez's salary in that trade with the Mariners, none of that has panned out nearly as well as they would have hoped.
Well, this whole thing doesn't feel great, but Diamondbacks still have some time to figure it out. One interesting move there at the end was Torey removing Ketel Marte for Blaze Alexander. I know some people thought that there might be maybe some retaliation against one of the Diamondbacks' better players for what happened to Carlos Correa. What did you find out about Torey removing Ketel there late?
Yeah, well, we have Torey himself talking about that. Here's what he had to say.
A little bit also because of some of the other events that happened.
Yeah, look, I want to make a comment about that. I do not believe in taking a baseball and intentionally throwing it at any hitter at any time. And if we're getting beat around and hit around by a team that is doing what they're supposed to do, and we're hitting batters, I feel like that's one of the more cowardly acts that can take place. And I can assure you that Bryce Jarvis was not trying to throw at anybody. We do not have that reputation. But my senses were heightened. I was on alert, and I was protecting some of our athletes. Yes, I was.
There it is. There were people wondering about that, and that is confirmed by Torey.
Yeah, when the moment that he did that, it was like, all right, in a normal situation, Torey might remove Ketel Marte and Christian Walker from a blowout game. That's certainly something we've seen before. But pretty much invariably, he'll let them take that fourth at bat, or maybe it was fifth at bat in this case, and then he'll have them sit and bring in someone to replace those guys defensively. But here he did not do that. He did not let them take that last at bat. He just straight up removed those guys from the game. So that's sort of what I suspected in the moment. And as you heard there, Torey confirmed it. His senses were heightened as you heard him describe there.
Well, I mean, Ketel just moved into phase 2 of the voting for the All-Star game. He is extremely important to this team. So it's completely understandable that Torey doesn't want to see any of that. And I mean, again, who knows if that would have actually happened, but I think, again, in a blowout.
I mean, I will say just real quick, Blaze Alexander did get hit by
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he did get hit right in the chunk, right?
And it sure looked intentional to me. I mean, we don't have any confirmation from that. I'm sure on the Twins side, they would never admit to that. But yeah, I think it's probably safe to say that the Twins did retaliate. I don't think it's severely hurt. His knee area was heavily wrapped up, heavily bandaged in the clubhouse. He seemed to be okay, but yeah, it does look like the Twins did retaliate. So I don't know if they would have done that if Ketel Marte was still in the game, if Christian Walker was still in the game. But you don't know. I think Torey probably made the right call there.
Yeah. Well, of course, Torey doesn't lie. And we know that. I mean, he does use manager speak from time to time, but he doesn't lie. But we also know that the numbers, when it comes to baseball, don't lie. Jesse, what do you have today for today's number?
Today's number, Derek, is 78. People may or may not have noticed this was the 81st game of the season, which means we have officially reached the halfway point.
Yay.
And the Diamondbacks are on pace to win 78 games in 2024. They are on pace to go 78 and 84. The exact same record they had last year, but in reverse order. So, not great, Derek.
That's not going to get you in the playoffs.
We don't know how many wins it will take to get in the playoffs, but I can say pretty much for certain that 78 wins is not going to do it. So, obviously, there are reasons for that. The Diamondbacks have been decimated by injuries in many ways. Corbin Carroll has we are at the halfway point of the season, and Corbin Carroll's OPS still starts with a 6 and is a whole lot closer to 600 than it is 700. And Gabby Moreno is obviously hurt. He has an OPS in the mid 600s as well. So those guys combined with the injuries, some other guys who have struggled in the early going, it's not really surprising that the D-backs are where they are.
Well, we know that Jesse will always bring us the good news, right? Well, Jesse is always going to bring us the happiness. So thank you for that. Thank you for doing that once again. And Corbin Barrels in the chat says it best. Man, this year is crazy. And again, right now things look bleak. Things don't look good, but the future is completely up in the air for this team. We have no idea what this team is going to look like if and when. I'll say if first, if they get all their players back, when they get all their players back. This is a completely different lineup. It's a completely different starting rotation, but who knows if we'll ever actually get to that point this season. I don't. I know Jesse doesn't either, whether he wants to make you believe he does or not. But you can follow us on Twitter for more on this team, for more on, I guess, the weather, because now I'm part of weather Twitter, I guess. I didn't want to do that, but that's the thing that happened. I am at cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Of course, the people's producer, Damon, is at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. We are Damon's dogs. Bark, bark. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks, but all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We will be back tomorrow with another post-game show of Game 1 against the Oakland A's, so make sure to join us for that. In the meantime, we hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Hope you do something that makes your night much better than this game did. And we will see you again tomorrow. In the meantime, have a great night. We thank you again for stopping by. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you stop getting your ass beat by the Twins.
We all silly like the mayor.